think it's a mutually beneficial sort of platform, because I'm sure that I'm going to learn from you as much as I'll be able to help you. And it is good to know what are the problems faced with people who are at home on BiPAP or at home on invasive ventilation, because we also follow up some patients, but not too many. And those patients who dare to go home on NIV, other than probably ALS patients or neuromuscular disease patients, they really are the people who actually are able to manage things, because they are able to take a lot of outside help. This money is usually not that big a deterrent from them. So should we start? And what do you say?
Yeah, sure. Interpreet, can you introduce?
Yeah, I'm Dr. Neetu.
I
So you can introduce me if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I just
no, it's from,
Okay.
from your mom.
No, please.
I will just add a line that she's one of those doctors who actually give the healing touch by just actually listening to the patient's entire case history. And now, actually, I mean, the stage is entirely yours. Sure, that's it.
Okay, so should I start with the questions, or there is something somebody wants to talk about? The list of the questions, or if you want to ask yourself those questions and discuss, then it is probably is going to be better.
Okay.
So first question is, what is the
Yes.
reason behind some pattern of breathing? So who wanted to ask that question? If that person speaks, I think I'll be able to understand a little better.
Anjul has not joined. So she's a PALS herself from Kashmir. So
That's all right. Then let's go to the other question.
Anjali.
Anjali is here.
Anjali.
So let Anjali ask the question.
Yep.
Anjali, can you ask me this question? Can you unmute yourself and ask me the question?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, good evening, ma'am. My
Good
husband,
evening.
he's on ventilator support, Trilogy. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
He is on ventilator support since last 1 year at home, Trilogy Respironic, and his breathing pattern was, it was almost okay, and we are not giving support oxygen since last 3 months, 3 to 4 months. Since last few days, he is asking for oxygen. Then after giving oxygen 2 or 3 hours, then he was okay. But since last 5 days, initially with 5 to 6 hours, at a frequency of 5 to 6 hours, the machine pressure, I think it reduced to 12. I have shared one video. Satvinder, can you please explain about that? Then he feels difficulty in breathing.
Okay. So what sort of you are using? What is the mode of ventilation on your machine?
That is ST mode.
Can you share that video which you have sent?
Doctor, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah. So this is a AVAPS machine. Yes. And you are connecting to. See, that's because.
Actually, the thing is, he is doing fine with the correct settings, which we have made, I think, for a longer, around a year. So that's working perfectly fine for last so many months. But then from last 5 days, what is happening? There is an episode of 2 to 3 hours in between, which is happening from last 5 days. So the breathing, the anxiety, or something, he feels that he is not comfortable, and the RR is increased on the screen. What is been shown in this happens for 2-3 hours, then it gets back to normal. So generally the pressure requirement for this patient is 15 pressures, generally 14 to 15 pressure. But when the RR is increased, so the pressure support is down, means what we have seen in this.
So this is a AVAPS ST thing.
Yes. For every ALS patient, we are recommending this, and this is working fine.
So it will work on a minute ventilation principle. So it has to have a steady minute ventilation. So if he is actually generating a lot of tidal volume, then pressure decreases because he doesn't require that kind of pressure to generate that kind of tidal volume. Pressure decreasing is not a problem. Problem is why should he be getting these episodes of increased respiratory rate? So there can be 2-3 reasons. First is anxiety, as you told me. So if patient is anxious or there are some secretions stuck in the tract, that is going to be the most common reason. So are you doing some regular suctioning for tracheostomy or you're not doing it?
Yes, ma'am.
So what sort of secretions coming in from tracheostomy?
Ma'am, since last 10 to 15 days, no more secretions. It was normal secretion. And
Okay.
we also started giving nebulizer earlier 2 times. Now we increased 3 times. And with Livolin with and Budakot also 0.5 mg.
So
and again also we are starting giving Mucinex 600 tablet with waters 3 times daily.
So just tell me that does his heart rate also goes up during these episodes, and does these episodes happen after taking Livolin?
No, not exactly, ma'am.
And is Livolin and Budakot helping during these episodes?
No, ma'am. Exactly after giving the nebulization, it suddenly not help. So it continued 2 to 3 hours episode. Then gradually the things is increased from 12 to 15. Then he feels comfortable.
And when was the tracheostomy tube change?
Exactly,
When was the tracheostomy tube change last time?
last week.
Last week only.
We changed 28th ma'am. अभी तो आज 15 days हो गया. 15 days हो गया. The day he started showing complaint about breathing difficulty, next day we changed the tube after 25 days.
So it is either anxiety or
secretion.
something stuck in the tube which will cause this kind of
Ma'am, we have
problem, and
started.
I don't think nebulization
Ma'am,
is
we have started giving video. I can show the patient also. Light.
So is it possible, at what level are you keeping head end?
Ma'am, I'm not getting your question.
So I think the pillow is very, very high. So it is pressing the neck. Maybe that is causing increase in pressure or balloon pressure or something like that. That's
right
why.
Now he is comfortable. Just see. Right now he is comfortable. And
so you will have to check that what prompts these episodes. I don't think that pressure going down is a problem. Problem is what is prompting this episode. So if you have something to show me that what is prompting these episodes, then probably I'll be able to help you better. So you have some paramedic coming to you for help or something?
Ma'am, 24-hour nurse is with us.
So what does she say? So what do you think causes these episodes?
We are not able to find any. चल रहा है आपको इसलिए कुछ भी तो नहीं ओनली बीपी पहले मैम
बीपी बढ़ रहा है इनका जैसे पैनिक होते हैं ना मतलब ब्रीदिंग प्रॉब्लम होती है तो बीपी इनका बढ़ता है
तो आई गेस देन
बढ़ता ही है मैम
कोई एंटी एंजाइटी वगैरह कुछ लेते हैं कोई एंजाइटी के लिए कोई टैबलेट कुछ लेते हैं एंजाइटी के लिए कोई टैबलेट लेते हैं तो आई थिंक यू शुड इंट्रोड्यूस वन एंटी एंजाइटी टैबलेट व्हिच यू माइट
नहीं मैम
तो कुछ एंटी
इवन सोते हुए नहीं मैम इवन सोते हुए भी ये नो मैम नथिंग इवन सोते हुए भी अभी कंफर्ट है थोड़ी देर के बाद ये मैं भी कल भी हुआ आज भी इवनिंग 7 to 9 10 तक ये चलता है प्रॉब्लम 2 hours प्रॉब्लम होगा फिर आफ्टर 10 फिर धीरे धीरे रात तक ठीक हो जाते हैं फिर मॉर्निंग आवर्स 9 to 12 तक ये प्रॉब्लम रहा फिर आफ्टर 12 फिर हमने कराया सब कुछ ठीक रहा तो ये मुझे भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड
सी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू डिफाइन विदाउट सीइंग actually seeing the episode and everything, but I would say that you can add a small dose of anti-anxiety medication like Alprex 0.25 or escitalopram, which you can take prescription from your regular doctor. Try that and let's see.
Sure, sure. Yeah, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
And also check the balloon of the tracheostomy. If it is too inflated, then also something like that will happen. So balloon should be comfortably
Ma'am,
compressible with your hand.
Regularly we are doing, ma'am.
Okay. So cuff. Okay.
Regularly we are doing that, deflating and coughing pattern also. He used to cough. After deflating, he used to cough, and we also do suctioning. And very small amount of secretion is there. And we test also did that CBC test. TLC level is around 6. So
I don't see that such
we are also
episodes
not
are,
able to find exactly.
I don't think that such episode will be prompted by any sort of infection. So they can be a short stock of secretions in the tracheostomy tube, which can prompt these kind of episodes. Or anxiety can also prompt these kind of episodes.
Okay, ma'am.
So if with this episode there is some coughing, then it is secretions for sure. If there is no coughing sort of movement, then I think it is better to start some anti-anxiety tablet. Try to do this for a couple of days and let's see how it
After
goes.
deflating
You can deflate balloon for a while for sure. Otherwise, if you keep a balloon inflated for a longer period of time, then there is a chance of decreased blood supply to trachea and tracheal necrosis can happen. So you should do intermittent deflation of balloon. Even if it is causing a little bit of coughing, it is all right. So should we go to the next question?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. So next question is from
Mihir.
Mihir is also there in the call. Mihir, can you ask your question?
Sure.
Let me see. Yeah.
Hi, ma'am. So I wanted to ask about some best practices which are used in tracheostomy care because my father is suffering from ALS and we just went through a tracheostomy procedure for him a few days back. And I just wanted to know some basics like the catheter which is used for suction. Do we have to like change it every day? How often do we change it? How do we maintain it? And even the suction frequency, because we're not really sure that is the dropping of SiO2 levels the only indicator of how when we should go for suctioning, or is there a general frequency which we should go for? Because some people were telling us that doing it too often might result in some
exactly
injury.
So suctioning should be suctioning on demand. Whenever there are secretion, then only you should suction. There should not be a regular suctioning. Okay, and your suctioning only to clear the tracheostomy tube. So you don't have to push in that suction tube very deep. So if you'll push suction tube very deep, it will go inside the trachea, and suctioning itself can cause a lot of damage in the trachea. So you don't have to do it very often. If your patient is coughing and if your ventilator shows any graphics.
Yeah, it does show the graphics.
So if the graph shows a undulating sort of movement, like let me show you.
Actually, the signs which we see is the low minute ventilation, RR will increase. Even the physiological condition of the patient would also be very discomfort. So that's one aspect.
And does this also happen when the SiO2 levels are good? Because sometimes my father tells me that he's having some difficulty in breathing, but the SiO2 levels are like 94 or 95.
That's all right. See, I don't think though it will be so dependent upon O2 level, but it will be more dependent upon your father feeling uncomfortable or he's feeling something is being stuck in his throat. If he's have that kind of feeling, then probably it is because of secretions in the throat. So if can you see on this? Just a minute. So is it visible? No, not visible, right?
Not light. Yes, it is somehow.
When
you're keeping it close, it was a little bit visible.
Okay, can you see these scratchy movements on this graph? So when you see these sort of, now it is visible, right? So these sort of scratchy movements on the graph, impressions on the graph mean that secretions are stuck in the ventilator circuit.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so if you get such scratchy things, then there are secretions in the circuit and you need to suction. Suction should be very, very gentle. You can do suction with the saline also, but your suction catheter should go inside only up to the length of the tracheostomy tube, not any further. Yes.
And the catheter, I mean, how do we have to like use a new catheter every time we do the
See,
suction?
ideally you should use a fresh catheter each time, but I think that it is going to be very, very expensive to use a fresh catheter every time.
I think
So
it is one should use, and we always have done that, and everyone is also doing the same.
So I have like worked in both the setup, richer sort of setup in a private hospital and a little difficult setup in a government hospital. So you can also get a medical grade disinfectant solution and put the catheter in that disinfectant solution while it is not in use, and then take it out and then wash it with saline and reuse it. It is doable, but you have to be very, very careful about it. And then you can discard catheter after 24 hours and get at least a new catheter every day is definitely required.
Yes,
And
in
also,
fact,
Nelcat, how do in your hospital which you have worked, they use Nelcat?
Sorry?
They have used Nelcat, that rounded tip which is generally recommended for the urine catheter. So
no, we were not using Nelcat. We were using suction catheter. Suction catheter do come with rounded tips.
Okay.
But you can actually, improvising, you can use male cats. Male cats are very soft.
Very
So
soft, because I always say that everyone should use, and we were also using for years on Nelcat only.
But
It's
only thing
slightly
is
more
that
expensive,
yeah,
but yes, but it's very comfortable for the patient.
but you get rounded tip soft suction catheter also. They are not going to be that expensive. You can get them in bulk. Male cath is going to be very, very expensive.
Okay.
And it will probably be difficult thing if secretions are very thick.
I understand.
We generally used it with the combination of embu bag also with saline, and then give some push of embu bag and then
So
secretion.
let's try to avoid doing embuing as much as possible, because you tend to give lot of tidal volume. Embu bag की पूरी capacity का tidal volume आप दे देते हो, so that's damaging for the lungs. So avoid it. If you have to really do it, then soft, gentle, and only press embu bag as much that you are only giving some 300 to 400 ml of tidal volume, not more than that.
Yes, half of it,
Half
less than half. Less than half.
And mostly in the cases when the secretions are not able to get in the
yes, absolutely. And if you are unable to suction the secretions and secretions are very thick, then most of the time it will indicate some sort of infection. It's better to send such secretions for culture or check CBC, check for fever and all those things. So usual secretions are not going to be very, very thick. Unless there is, and a lot of times secretions are thick because your patient is not getting enough water. So if your patient is dehydrated, secretions are going to be thick. So you have to check that how much urine he is producing and how much actually fluid intake he is getting. If it is, and there should be at least a positive balance for, if there is no kidney or heart issues, then there should be a positive balance of about 800 ml at least.
Okay.
So secretions can become thick if patient is dehydrated.
Okay. Thank you. So Mihir, any other question?
Doctor, and also about the tracheostomy tube that we have to change. So the doctor was saying that the tube also needs to change after every.
See, you don't need to change tracheostomy tubes very often. You only need to change if your ventilator is showing high peak pressure. Ventilator will show high peak pressure because of varying reason. One of the reason is that your tube, the secretion gets stuck in the tube and they become thickened, and the diameter of tracheostomy tube narrows. So it's not, some people would not even require change for 2-3 months. So it's not that you have to change it, mandatorily change it every 15 days. I don't think so. It should be changed like that.
I mean, the high value that you're saying, what value is considered high?
So for a average patient, in a ICU setup, we say anything more than 30 is high. But you'll also have to see that it's not like that your father is coughing and his peak pressure is more than 30, it can happen, no? But if he's not coughing, he's comfortably breathing, and even then continuously peak pressure is high, and ventilation is being difficult, then there is a chance that the tube is blocked. So I can, as you can see some graphics, so let me show you graphics of tube blockage on vent, and then you will probably be able to handle it better.
Doctor, I used to change the tube of my mom. It's like not every month. It was like two times. I mean, once in 2 months or once in 3 months. So I mean, what I used to do. What I used to do was like, I used to measure the air. Air inside the balloon. So wherever instead of around 8 ml or 10 ml, whenever I was observing that I have to fill in actually more than 10, or sometimes it was like 15 ml. And then I used to guess, okay, the elasticity of the rubber is actually getting increased. So I need to change the tube. So this was the trick actually. It might be not the official recommended one, but this was the thing actually.
I seriously did not understand that what you were saying, but what volume? Sorry,
inflating balloon.
The balloon inflation.
Yeah, the balloon inflation of the trachea tube. So I used to follow this trick. That instead of actually filling in the recommended 10 ml inside the balloon of the trachea tube, so I used to observe that with the longer usage of the tube, the demand of the balloon, air inside the balloon used to get increased. So instead of 10 ml, it used to get increased to around 13 or 15 ml. So
see, it's a very good observation. It happens when your balloon is leaking. So I agree with you that you will have to change your tracheostomy tube if the balloon is leaky. So balloon, usually the air demand of balloon will not increase. It will only increase if balloon is leaky.
And we used to change between 5 to 6 weeks. Generally 5 to 6 weeks every time.
So as I told you that you don't need to change less than 2 to 3 months. But in less, because it is difficult to judge from graphics for you, you can change after 2 to 3 months, 5 to 6 weeks, because then experience can also tell you, you know, कि in 5 to 6 weeks or 2 to 3 months, मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि 2 months तक चल जाता है आराम से tracheostomy tube. 2 months के बाद उसमें धीरे धीरे सिक्रीशन होके उसका जो बोर होता है वो नैरो होता जाता है. अगर नैरो होता जाएगा तो पेशेंट को ब्रीदिंग एफर्ट ज्यादा लगेगा. अगर पेशेंट का ब्रीदिंग एफर्ट ज्यादा लग रहा है, then you need to change the tracheostomy tube.
And even if you take out the PVC, if you are taking out after that material of the tube, if you take out after 6 weeks, and if you take out after 8 weeks or 9 weeks, the quality of that tube, that also that's a lot of deviation.
But thing is that it doesn't make a difference to patient.
Okay.
It doesn't make a difference to patient. But of course, if you feel that, and also depend upon what sort of secretion patient is having. If patient is having very thick secretion, then you will need to change tube more often. If patient is not having much secretion or having thin secretion, then you probably don't need to change tube very often.
Dr. Jain, this is Prem Putur. I have a general question. My wife is on tracheostomy for the last 2 years. No issues as such, but I have not seen any doctor for almost 2 years. So typically, what I wanted to know is, you said that, you know, once in a while you should send your saliva for CBC and various tests. What would you recommend? Because I just want to do that at least once, to send the saliva.
I would say that you should send these secretions for culture if patient is running fever. If the color of secretion is changing, if there is some smell coming from the secretions. So in all these cases, or patient is, you know, coughing, or is some people who are on steroids or something, then they might not mount fever. Older people also might not mount fever. So there can be other soft signs. So if there is any sign of infection, then you send secretions for culture. Otherwise, routinely, you don't need to even do it once in a while. But of course, you would do some tests, you know, CBC and all after a couple of 1 month or so, whatever your schedule is. So as to see that what is hemoglobin, what is general nutrition, what is electrolyte level. All of us generally do for after 6 months, or for a healthy person. Maybe for a person who is on vent should be done in after say 15 days or a month. then you can also judge. But mostly if secretion color is changing, secretion thickness is changing, if smell is foul smelling or patient is running fever, then you should do a ET secretion culture.
Say that again. What culture?
ET secretion culture, that is endotracheal tube secretion culture. So there is a mucus trap which comes. So you have to have a sterile, you have to actually do a sterile suction to take that culture, because if you are doing an infected suction, then probably all you get is a colonizer and you'll be worried unnecessarily.
So there's a special
there's a
Romson extraction.
There's a special mucus trap. Let me just find out for you and let me show you. Give me a minute, I'll share my screen here.
Mucus extractor करके आता है.
Mucus
That's around
extractor
70-80 rupees.
Yes, absolutely.
So we used to have 7 to 8 always at our home. Sometimes this it will also sometimes that one attempt is not bringing in the nice way. So you don't want to waste and give the secretion like that. Then you take out another
so
piece.
It's better when you are planning to do send a secretion for culture, put in some saline and then use mucus trap, so that good amount of secretions comes in. So there is a way of interpreting into ET secretion culture. You have to do a colony count. So colony count has to be more than 10 raised to power 6. Otherwise it is a colonizer, not actually infection. So you have to really judge and consult a doctor while interpreting a ET secretion culture.
Thank you, doctor.
So next question.
We have next question from
Deepti.
Deepti, I think Deepti is here.
You can unmute and you can ask your question. And after Deepti, Swaroop is there.
Deepti is from Delhi. Prem sir was from Mohali, and before that he was from Jodhpur.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, my father was diagnosed with ALS last year, and recently he got PEG, and now we are using BiPAP, Philips AV APS. But AVAPs. But he's having difficulty in putting on AVAPs. Means around 11, if we put on the machine on to him, he is comfortable for 2 hours. Then after that, he feels uncomfortable and he gets it removed. उसके बाद में अगर हम दोबारा लगाते हैं तो he is not able to adjust with the maybe the settings or whatever you can say. He feels heaviness in the chest.
Okay, so how long has he been using BiPAP?
Ma'am, hardly a week, 10 days.
So it takes a lot of time to adjust to BiPAP for anybody. See, and for any BiPAP, just check the ramp time. So ramp time is that pressure which you have decided from 0 to that pressure, how much time that pressure is reached. So if he takes initial, if he has hiccups, so for a week or so, you can increase the ramp time. So the person whom you have bought machine from, he can increase ramp time for you. So that means the pressure will rise up gradually.
Okay.
Give him some time. If it is only 10-15 days, he'll get used to BiPAP after some time, few days.
Okay.
And you can also give a small sleeping tablet or something to make him more comfortable.
Yeah, he was asking for sleeping tablet, but as of now, we didn't get it prescribed from any of the doctors. And some suggestion was given in the group, but chemists were not providing it without prescription.
Yeah, of course, you will not get it without prescription. So you should ask your doctor that he is uncomfortable at night. Small dose of sleeping pill is not going to be any problem.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Usha, you can ask the question.
She actually just pinched me up, so she will not be able to ask the question. So it's like the pointers which she has is something a lot descriptive in themselves. So it's like, I mean, the first thing she needs to know is like, when should we go for tracheostomy?
Exhalation becomes difficult while lying on back after few breaths. Is that?
No.
When
It's
should
about
we?
Tusha.
When should we?
When should we go for tracheostomy?
After 8th question, the 9th one. When we should go for tracheostomy? Yes.
Okay, so let's discuss it with other people in the group. When did they go for tracheostomy? Satvinder, when did you go for tracheostomy?
Mine was the first experience without any knowledge. So Mama faced problem with heavy breathing. The oxygen was dropping, and then we rushed her to the hospital, and there they have gone for BiPAP first. Then after 3 days, they went for ventilator.
The oxygenation mainly was getting dropped.
But then later on, we decided that we want to continue the ventilator rather than going weaning off and all that, because weaning off was getting difficult. So we thought that because this disease would require a long-term stay and we don't want to rush to hospital again and again. So we got the tracheostomy done and brought her back.
And generally, otherwise also whenever in group, when other people share that they are having the swallowing problem now, and they're not able to cough out.
So you go for tracheostomy if patient is getting recurrent chest infection. If the secretion are sticking in the throat and patient is unable to bring out secretion, if he started developing swallowing problem. So if he is unable to swallow food, that means that there is a likelihood of all the pharyngeal muscles will becoming weak. All the secretion will drop inside the lung. And patient will develop recurrent chest infection. Tracheostomy is to maintain the airway. So all of us, we maintain the airway. You know, अगर आप कुछ ऐसा खाते हो जो कि आप ऐसे बोलते हो गले में अटक गया, तो आपके गले में अटकता है, but it never goes inside the lung because you cough it out. So if patient is unable to cough, then you have to go for tracheostomy. So indication of tracheostomy is unable to take care of the secretions, unable to maintain the airway. So if there is no cough reflex, then you have to go for tracheostomy. If you have no swallowing, then you'll have to go for RT feeding or PEG. And if there is no cough reflex, then you'll have to go for tracheostomy. मतलब अगर कुछ भी चीज को बाहर नहीं निकाल पाते हैं और सिक्रीशंस इतनी ज्यादा सब अंदर चले जाती हैं, बार बार चेस्ट इन्फेक्शन हो रही है, तो आपको फिर ट्रेकियोस्टमी कराना पड़ेगा.
So just an additional counter question over this. So it's like जैसे आपने कहा कि cough reflex अगर नहीं आ रहा है, so I mean Philips के जैसा एक cough assist एक machine है. So हाँ जी, so is it really helpful because I mean कि ग्रुप में हम लोगों के मेंबर्स हैं जिन लोगों ने यूज किया है, बट
कई मिक्स्ड ओपिनियन है. Some are saying beneficial, some are not. So have you gone through your experience? What is its beneficial?
Actually, I have used it for a small time, so I don't think that it can replace tracheostomy. But even if it can help in chest physiotherapy basically, and bringing out secretion for a tracheostomized patient. But I don't think so it is as effective to replace tracheostomy or delay tracheostomy for a while. So what does people in your group say?
So mixed opinion. Some says that it's helping. They are able to cough out with the help of this machine. And some people are saying it's lying there.
But they are very less in numbers.
So only,
this is Vijay here.
Yes, Vijay. Yes.
I've been using it almost for 1 year, so I can share my experience. I've not started using this because someone said so. I think initially we've got all these machines, I think Trilogy, Cough Assist and all, right? So we started using this as a practice in general, like morning once, evening once. Not much comes out. And what I've seen is, I think we never had a secretions problem, only in the last 2 weeks. There is a bout of it, and this is where I'm in confusion too. So I used the Cough Assist machine a couple of times. Looks like it pulled stuff out. But then in general, I don't see anything much coming out. But what I was told is you might feel like that, but again, it's loosening up things and then it is actually helping.
It does.
So you might want to continue that. That's what the advice I got, like that morning, evening thing.
So I would say, Vijay, that it does help in loosening of the secretions. See, all of you must be using a lot of things, Mucinex tablet, Mucomix nebulization, and all those mucolytics. None of them help, because I know it from my experience in ICU that none of these mucolytics help, but cough assist help in those patients who have thicker secretion, unable to bring out secretion. So it can help patient on tracheostomy also, because it does
And then
loosen.
there is actually a specific question, because I didn't face it till now, and only in the last 2 weeks, I'm saying my wife might have developed small cold. I don't see a lot of phlegm, but again, this is where, right, based on the group's advice, right, I was thinking like cough assist, is there a sequence, even if we have things like that, use something like a Duolin and then NS for some time, nebulize with these two things, and then do cough assist. And I don't know how often we can do cough assist also. I've just gotten like, okay, morning once, evening once. So we are doing that, but I don't know the routine too. If you can give some advice, right? If there's a sequence.
How often you use cough assist will depend upon patient also. For your patient, if you are facing recent secretion problem, then your patient probably has developed an infection. Increase in secretion means that she has developed infection. So a short course of antibiotic is definitely warranted. You should check CBC and all. Okay. And
Sure.
you said she had a bout of cough. So if she's unable to cough out those secretions, she's likely to develop a secondary bacterial infection on the top of it. As far as nebulization is concerned, unless patient has airway problem, nebulization does not help much. So if patient is having infection at some point of time, and you feel that difficult breathing is being difficult, or patient is wheezing, then nebulization will help. I would recommend Foracort or inhaled steroid plus bronchodilator. And Duolin is an emergency nebulizer for patients who have COPD. I don't think that is going to help you much. Plus, Duolin contain an anticholinergic compound which can actually dry up secretions. So dried secretion can get stuck in the throat and will become difficult for the patient. I don't think that Duolin nebulization is particularly warranted for patients with ALS. You can share your experience. What do you think?
No, I'm good. Like, I didn't see much help also. I've used it only 2 days now. So I'm not seeing, first it felt like it completely dried up. Oh, I thought it was good. But from the second day, it wasn't doing much. Actually today is the second day. So I was contemplating on stopping it anyways, because I wasn't sure.
Can the rest of group carry on the discussion on this nebulization for a minute? Can I take a minute's break?
Sure. I'm sharing my experience.
Hello.
We have not.
This is Harsh.
Okay, Harsh, please.
This is Harsh. My mother is also an ALS patient. We have recently done nebulization with Duolin, used for almost a week, using from week because of thick secretion. There was a thick secretion. In first 2 days, it helped. After that, it doesn't help. About it goes 2.5 hours. 2 hour हो जाता था तब भी नहीं रुकता था secretion जरा सा भी ना सूख रहा था वो.
Can somebody repeat
my experience? This is Prem Putur. My wife has been on tracheostomy for the last 2 years. The only I think I used Duolin maybe once, probably 1.5 years ago. But every time I do nebulization, I was told, the best way to do this is using Inhalex Rapsules. And I've been using that. We haven't done it many times, but at least maybe twice a week or 3 times a week, we kind of do it. But we've been using Inhalex for nebulization, and she hasn't had any problem using Inhalex.
So, in my opinion, Inhalex is same as Mucomix, which is same as it is N-acetylcysteine or another broncholytic. Both of them does not help much in controlling secretion. But suit your convenience. If you feel that it is helping in some way, it is not going to cause any harm.
No, I think we use nebulization only we see some thickness in the secretion. Like if the phlegm becomes a little thick, we use nebulization.
So I would say that if your phlegm becomes thick, it changes color, or there's some smell coming out of it, you should check for infection.
Yeah, so far I think, see, when what we have seen is this. This is the pattern that I've seen almost like now 2 years. When the phlegm becomes a little thick, it doesn't change the color. I mean, color is still almost the same, but when it becomes thick, we give Inhalex, and then 2 hours, 3 hours later, her secretion becomes soft and nice, and then we are able to, you know, suction it out very easily. And that's the only reason we've been using Inhalex, only to, yeah, we kind of think that, you know, it kind of loosens up and, you know, makes it thinner.
Sure, if it is making a difference like that, you may use it. There's no harm done. And I would also suggest that whenever secretions become thicker, look at her fluid intake also. If fluid intake is very less, then try to increase it.
Thank you.
Doctor, I would like to share my experience. My father is an ALS patient, and almost 3 months back, he started having a lot of secretions. At that time,
Need to unmute yourself.
I'm trying to unmute, and yeah. Did anyone hear something, or?
Actually, by mistake, I did mute. So you can just repeat your.
3 months back, my father was not using any non-invasive ventilator also, and he was having swallowing issues. So frequently, some food was going into his lung, the trachea, and he was getting infections. He was getting a lot of secretions. And that used to be transparent. Then what happened? We tried so many things like Mucinex. Then we tried Foracort. We tried a couple of things. Nothing worked. After that, we started regular nebulization with Geoline, which is helping my father. Now we got the PEG done, and he is also using ventilator at home, like a non-invasive one. We are still continuing Geoline nebulization, and it is helping it. Even if we are missing on some days, he's having some problem with the breathing. So we are doing it twice in a day.
So if he is having problem in the breathing, then it is probably not related to secretions. And is any musical sound coming out of his chest?
No.
Was he smoker before ALS?
No.
Okay. So it's difficult to say what's happening, but breathing problem is not synonymous with the secretion sticking in the respiratory tract and all those things. So if it is helping, then it is fine. But the nebulization, which is actually going to,
Ma'am, one question here. My Anjali here. My husband, he was a smoker before diagnosed ALS.
Okay.
So the breathing pattern also, but since last 1 year it was not happened. But right now, why this is happening, we are not able to identify the.
Did he get any breathing problem before getting ALS also?
No, ma'am. Never.
Any early morning cough and all those things before ALS?
Maybe that might be there, ma'am.
So you can actually try Foracort nebulization for him twice a day.
Ma'am, I was the person asking the first question about the breathing pattern in the ventilator, showing that videos.
Yeah, I know. I understood.
Ma'am, can I give some Asthaline or what is that?
It's better to give Foracort. Let me write.
Foracort.
Better to give Foracort. 0.5.
0.5 mg.
0.5
Which Livolin or without?
No, without Livolin. Foracort itself contains a bronchodilator, so you don't really have to give Livolin. If you will go
2 times or 3 times?
heart rate बढ़ जाएगा उनका. Twice a day, 2 times a day.
And I like to ask this question for my knowledge. My mother never used to like nebulization. So we never have given. We have not given any time any nebulization. In the starting few months we tried, whenever we were giving, whether it's for Livolin or any kind of nebulization, she always said that I don't want, and she was very uncomfortable before and after. So we stopped. So in last, I think 8 years of ventilator experience, only first 1 year we tried. After that, nothing. Would that be, it's really required if
No, it is not really required.
Not required.
It's not really required.
And when
A
we tried Mucinex, it was very harsh. And it was
Mucinex and Inhalex both are very harsh. They cause lot of irritation of respiratory tract. It will make patient cough. It make patient, because they are actually respiratory irritants.
Right.
No? So Mucinex and Inhalex are not required, and any nebulization for that matter, unless patient has airway issues like asthma. Or COPD, which happens in smoker, or any reversible airway disease which a doctor can examine and tell you. Otherwise, I don't think so. How nebulization helps? It just doesn't. It's not that every patient we put in ICU, we put on nebulization, because they don't really require nebulization. Their issue is not airway. Nebulization is only going to stabilize smooth muscles of airway. If there is no disease of smooth muscles of airway, nebulization does not help. Only thing is that patient who get recurrent chest infection, those people get some airway inflammation which induce smooth muscle to contract. So such people get a bronchial hyperactivity kind of state. So such people may benefit from nebulization. Not everybody will get benefit from nebulization.
So what would you suggest for when the thick saliva becomes a little thick? What is your
I think that Duolin will further thicken the plasma, because it has a plasma drying kind of element which is called iprovent. So if the secretions get thickened, as I told you, check the fluid status first. If patient is not drinking enough, not taking enough fluid, then saliva thickens. Second is look for infection.
Hello. Ma'am, this is Harsh again.
So I think we should start taking some general questions, because we have very less time left, maybe 10 minutes, and we can continue individual questions in the next session. Yes. We can continue this activity.
Yes, because there are many.
There are like many questions. So we have discussed enough about nebulization.
Yes.
So let's not talk about nebulization anymore. If there is anything else we can talk about.
What are the general tests we need to get done? As you said, right, the infection, and a lot of times you might understand this just by plain looking at it, but we might not, right? We people at home start interpreting different things differently, and everybody says something. So is there any regular set of tests as when in doubt, get these things done and then proceed from that?
If you are suspecting infection, then you can do a simple CBC test and set that suction for culture. If you are not suspecting any infection, then no test is going to help you in that. But it's not like that every week I should do these set of tests to look for infection. You really do not have to look for infection. So if your patient is not running fever, is not coughing too much, if secretions are not turning yellow or not turning thick or not turning too much in quantity, and doesn't have increased weakness or increased generalized tiredness, then probably it doesn't have infection. So you really do not need to do any test. You should do a general sort of set of tests like a renal function test, electrolytes and everything, maybe monthly, depending upon patient's profile and age also.
Okay, thank you.
Mayank, you have raised your hand in between. Any question you want to ask? Mayank, are you there? Okay.
Sorry, by mistake I raised that. No question from my side.
Okay. Pinakin, you have also mentioned that you want to ask one question.
Yeah. Hello, doctor. Myself, Pinakin from Mumbai. Right now, I'm in Gujarat.
Yeah. Good evening.
I'm a patient, and I'm able to swallow. I'm able to breathe properly. What do you recommend I should do to, basically to delay or tracheostomy and PEG? Can you advise me?
So one thing is that you can do a PFT if possible and check your FVC, that is forced vital capacity. If your forced vital capacity is less than 80%, you can start using nighttime BiPAP, which can, some people say that it can help in delaying tracheostomy by improving your ventilation. Other than that, all those deep breathing exercise and everything, those things can help to delay tracheostomy. If you have too many secretions, then either a cuff assist device or a simple postural drainage and physiotherapy can help. So if you will go on web and look at the video of postural drainage, you can find those videos and you will be educated by those. And you can do postural drainage about 3 times a day before each meals, and that way you'll be able to loosen your secretion and cough out all of them. You can use a small dose of mucolytic, about 1 TSF of any mucolytic syrup, Mucolite or whatever, 3 times a day. Use that syrup, do some steam inhalation, do postural drainage, try to take out secretions. These way you can help yourself and delay tracheostomy. Another thing is maybe using a BiPAP.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Actually, I'm doing heavy breathing exercises, and I'm my secretion has come down to my. It has almost got nil.
Okay,
I'm
great.
able to cough, but my coughing has also gone down.
So if
I'm doing heavy breathing exercises.
As long as you are able to cough out secretions, then probably tracheostomy is not required. If you lose the cough reflex, then you will require tracheostomy.
Okay, thank you very much,
okay,
doctor. Thank you for your advice.
Okay, I think
we have already.
In case if anyone has any question which can be a general question for everyone, last question we can take, like if Dr. Time allows.
Yeah, of course, we can take a
last question. We can
one
take.
last
Yeah,
question.
may I ask a question?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I am Supriya. My mother is a ALS patient. So I want to ask, like, can we use a nasal mask for the BiPAP machine instead of the whole face mask?
See, for your mother, using a nasal mask probably is not going to help you that much.
Okay.
So you are using a nighttime BiPAP, or you are using?
No, it's actually her dependency has increased. So during food intake also, like, she don't have swallowing problem, but she wants BiPAP. So like giving her food has become a problem now. She takes a few spoons and then she wants the BiPAP again. So we were thinking like her food intake is decreased.
If you will use a nasal mask and patient is eating, then probably it is not going to help her ventilation.
Okay.
But you can try. It's not that you cannot try, but I don't see that for you BiPAP is to help ventilation. So nasal mask will probably not going to be that good.
So like she don't have any breathing or speech, anything of that sort, but like now she wants almost 24 hours BiPAP. So even for breakfast also, like if she takes, we just remove the mask, she don't allow it. So again, like we force her, like how she will take food, and she is completely no to PEG or trach, and she has become extremely weak. Like she is almost lost in a year. She has lost.
Is she able to swallow food? Is she able to swallow food?
Yeah, yes.
You can try nasal BiPAP at the time of eating, maybe, but how much it is going to help is difficult.
And
the nasal mask will
like,
cost you about
okay.
1,200. So trying a nasal mask, you can try a nasal mask.
Okay. Also, I want to ask, like, if we are using the BiPAP mask, it is the silicone one we are using. But after like a month or 15 days, the shape becomes like disturbed. And then she, like, whole night, she used to tell that you just fit the mask, like the air comes out, and she is not able to sleep only because of that. She don't have any other issues. So this mask we wanted to like.
Which company mask are you using?
I don't know. We are using the Philips machine, so they told that it is compatible with that. So I don't exactly
See,
remember now.
there are 3 companies masks which I will recommend: Fisher Paykel, Resmed, and Philips Respironics. And you can get very, very comfortable mask also. So you'll have to take your pick.
So is there
All the
any
masks
extra?
are compatible with company, but a good quality mask is absolutely needed, because patient's comfort will depend upon that good quality mask.
So, but you are suggesting for the silicone one only?
Yes,
But
silicone
some
is
told,
fine.
okay, because someone told me that the plastic one will fit more properly.
Yeah, but plastic one will be very, very harsh. You have to have a soft mask. We take contour of the face. Otherwise, it is going to be very difficult for you.
Because only for the mask only she is finding difficult. Otherwise, she's very fine with her sleeping habits. Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. So silicone mask is going to suit her the best.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So should we close the session,
Yes, I
or?
think the number of questions we are still left with is many more, and I think more are coming in the chats also. So I would, I'm really thankful. On behalf of the whole group, we are really thankful for your
No
advice
problem.
and your knowledge, expert knowledge you have shared with us. So it's very, very, very nice way you have explained everything. So we'll be looking forward for your next session whenever your time permits. And also, I'll be sharing your visiting card. I have shared your visiting card. If somebody would like to contact you one-to-one, so they can consult you on that number and take your time accordingly.
Sure, no problem. So we can schedule a session, a second session later.
Yeah,
So
whenever
you
you
can collect. Okay.
Yeah, and any weekend or
Thank you so much, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, it was such a pleasure interacting with you, and I think I have also become wiser about so many issues, and I'll try to find out solution to a lot of your questions, which I don't know about actually. And we will be able to connect again. Okay.
Thank you, Indrapreet. Thank you. And thank you,
Thank you,
Doctor.
doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Neetu, and thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
Indrapreet.
you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
You are on mute, madam. You have to unmute yourself. Thank you.